Hi, my name is Yang.ese and I am your host on the Tiny Chair Talk. Today on the talk, we are officially 5 episodes in, and I am so grateful for the grace and the time and energy, and for you all who watch the talk and give me a bit of hope that my information is going out there to someone who needs it. So thank you so very much. I saw on a podcast the other day that some people don't make it past the first 10 episodes of their podcast, and I like to treat this talk as a podcast. So therefore, being 5 episodes in is a very big win to me, and I'm grateful for that. This week on the talk, as we're rounding up the year 2025, and I can't wait to wish each and every one of you a happy new year in the coming year. I just want to say some things that I have been doing to make this year end well and to make next year begin well, because that's a very important thing that we do in our lives. A lot of us like to make new year resolutions. I'm not the biggest believer in new year resolutions, but this I do know what I want my 2026 to look like, and here are some things that I'm going to be doing to make my 2026 look better as the year is rounding up. First things first, I started listening to podcasts. I was not a very big believer in podcasts. I think I'm getting better at being a believer actually, but I wasn't a very big believer in podcasts. I knew they existed. To be very honest, I knew they existed. I just didn't think I was a podcast girly because I just didn't think I was. But in about September or October, I found Grace Beverly on TikTok, and she has a podcast, the Working Hard podcast, and now I listen to her podcast. I listened to her podcast because there are some things that she did in her life that I wanted to aspire to be. A very big example is her immense knowledge of financial literacy, and I really do want to be financially independent. Now, I just want to note that I didn't start doing these things in November. I realized as I was planning this particular episode that I had started doing these things within the year, but November is the month of the year where you try to round up all your businesses for the year, or all the things you're doing, try to like make a timeline of just coming together and putting them all together and weighing the pros and cons and the good and the bad. And here are some things that I have discovered that I have done in the year 2025 that I think is going to make my 2026 better. Now, for the record, I do not want to be a gazillionaire. I just want to be financially independent, which means I want to be able to buy basic amenities when I want to buy basic amenities. I want to be able to pay for things. For example, I want to be able to pay for my transport to and from work because I need to pay for it. And in order to do that, in as much as I may have a job, I need to be financially literate and know how to spend my money wisely in order for me to pay my way to and from work each and every day without having to ask a friend or a family member for money to do something as simple as that. That is what I mean by being financially literate. And Grace Beverly, her podcast, although her podcast is very broad, it talks about a whole number of topics, but she talks a lot about being financially literate, and that was the major thing that got me into the Working Hard podcast. And I listen to it when I listen to podcasts, and because of her, or because of the podcast, or the knowledge, amount of knowledge that she gives on the podcast, I also started listening to other podcasts about being financially literate, things to know about finances, investing. I have never read a book on investments before, or investing, and today I went to the library and I saw this sitting in there, and I was like, oh, I think I've read this on the podcast. I will try to read it though, but I saw this and I decided to come show it here because I think it's going to be a good book. Yeah, I think it is, so I'm going to check it out. But I have never read this, and I came to realization that I actually have quite a good portfolio when it comes to being financially literate, and I'll tell you why along the way. First things first, I listen to podcasts now. So that is one of the things I'm doing to make my 2026 better, because if I get the knowledge now, I can use the knowledge to plan how to get into my 2026. Another thing that I am doing to make my 2026 better for me is I am setting up a planner. And mind you, I hate planners. I really, really, really hate planning. I am an overthinker. I'm an introvert and I'm an overthinker, and I tend to overthink even the most tiny of situations. The most tiny of situations seems like 1,000 kg weight load in my head. I think that's the best way to explain it. I overthink it. I analyze it from many angles. I look at all the many ways that I could make it better, or it could go worse. It tends to always be other ways it could go worse in my head, really. Let's be honest about it. But I am an overthinker, and because I want to be less of an overthinker, sometimes I just jump into situations without thinking it through. And that was literally how I bought my first stock on the stock market. I thought about it for like 4 months and I wasn't doing anything. And then one day I just woke up, put some money in. My broker is bamboo, so I put some money in bamboo and I bought a stock. I won't advise anybody to do that, for the record, but that is how I tend to be. So this 2026, I'm going to set up a planner. I've already started setting it up. If you want a picture or a link to it, let me know and I'll send it to you personally through my mail to see what it looks like. Well, so far, I've written down my resolutions. Now I'm going to, so that's my first step. I've written down my resolutions for year 2026. It's never too early to write your resolutions, and there's always room for change. You could always change it up. I've changed it up like twice now. But yeah, that's in the planning process of this. Yeah, so I'm setting up a planner for 2026 because I want to see how well I can follow the plan. Yeah, that's the major thing. I'm very bad at following planners. That's why I don't like them. I feel like they're very restricting. Like they're allowing me to be free, to be spontaneous. But I'm going to try as much as possible to follow this planner because there are things I want to achieve as I written on the planner. So I'm going to try very hard to follow it up so as to make my 2026 better. Another thing I am going to do this year before the year 2026 begins is to try to clear up all my debts of the year before I enter the new year. Let me explain. I don't take loans from banks or from corporate institutions or nothing like that. So my debts are basically family related. Like I took money from my sister the other day, or my mother the other day, or my brother the other day, or my friend. I'm going to try to make sure to pay each and every single one of them back before the year runs out. Not because I necessarily have all the money to pay them back. I'm paying in installments, but because I want to enter the new year with this mindset of it's a fresh blank page. That's the reason why. I'm not saying, I know that some people have student debts or student loan debts that they're paying back, and some cooperative and all that. I'm not saying that you should pressure yourself to pay all those back. I understand that it takes time and there's a certain period of time, but this is just the time I give myself to pay these people back because it's not like it's huge amount of money. It's a significant amount that I think I can bring out the money from my salary to pay them back. So my aim is to pay back all these people that I owe money to, and I have started paying back. I think I have like one or two people left on my list to pay back. So I'm going to try and pay them back before the year 2026. I want to enter 2026 with a blank financial page. I have been tracking my money, my spendings, my monthly spendings on a spreadsheet. I've done it since April, actually, and this is November. So I have been tracking my spendings and I have been analyzing them to see what they will look like. And so far, so good. I am not in any major debt, neither have I overspent unnecessarily. So I think I'm on the very right page for 2026. Okay, in addition, I also want my 2026 to be a better me year. I'm trying to give myself more grace in the coming year. So I am practicing giving more grace now before the year comes out. Every tomorrow starts with today. Yeah. So if you practice giving yourself more grace today, by tomorrow you should be able to give yourself more grace. I am a perfectionist. I obsess over every little detail in every little thing. That is why I tell my friends that I'm lazy. I'm actually not. I tell my friends that I'm lazy just so that they won't give me lots of work, because I know if they do give it to me, I'm going to put my very best in it. And if I become overworked or overloaded with work that I can't give my very best to, I don't feel good about it, and it doesn't make me feel good in any way, and I feel very bad, very guilty. So I do tell my friends that I'm lazy so they won't give me work. But if you actually do give me work, I will put in my very best for you. So I'm trying to give myself a bit more grace Grace to say no to people because I find it very hard to say no. Grace to say no to people. Grace to not beat myself up about the things that I wasn't able to do this year because there are some things that I haven't been able to do this year, and it's the year hasn't run out yet, so I could still find something to give them. But at this point, we're already a week from December, and once you're in December, left to New Year already, it's like a done deal in heaven and on earth. So I'm trying to give myself more grace, and I'm trying to tell myself that it is not the end of all things. Things will get better. Things will show up, show out. So yeah, more grace. So I'm practicing that. It's not easy, truth be told, because every time you look in the mirror, you think, oh, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing it well, I could do better, and I could do better. And sometimes you just have to realize that you are doing your best and it is enough, and God will take care of the rest. So, yeah, more grace to me. Earlier on, I mentioned talking about things I had done earlier in the year to make my 2026 better that I didn't realize. And one of the things I did, as I mentioned earlier, was buying stocks. Now, my journey of buying stocks has been very rocky, and I'll tell you why. I'm a Nigerian. My broker, my stockbroker, is Bamboo, the Bamboo app. I use the Bamboo app. If you would like a link to the Bamboo app, I could always send it to you. So I use the Bamboo app and I trade on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the US Stock Exchange. The Bamboo app has both markets in it, so it does really make trading across borders very easy. Yes, there are other investing platforms, but I use Bamboo. I think my father used Afri Invest. I think I pronounced the name right. Yes, so I use Bamboo. As I mentioned, I bought my very first stock on a whim, and I was tired of overthinking it, so I just bought it. And I was very fortunate because I think spontaneously buying made me realize I could do this more and more. I did make some mistakes along the way. For example, people always say take out your spare money or your spare cash from your monthly plan, your monthly financial plan. That is when you divide your budget into expenses and savings. Whatever is left of it is what you should use for investments. I've also seen another plan that says divide your money into expenses, savings, and investments. So I think either way, the ratio still balances out. But what I did wrongly was take my savings money and put them in stocks. In as much as I knew that I wasn't buying stocks for the short term, I knew I wanted them to sit in there and grow. I still took money, that money I was meant to save. Like for example, if I was saving 20% of my salary, I'll take like 15% and put it in the stock market, and then the other 5% I'll probably take it as an emergency fund for the month. That's what I was doing, which was wrong. Now I realize that because you actually do need to save apart from invest, but I did that, and I think it taught me a lesson. Yes, it did, because there was a point in time that I needed some money and I couldn't um get cash quickly, and I could have sold my stocks and gotten the cash, but I don't enjoy selling my stocks. It doesn't make me happy in any way. It doesn't make me happy. I like looking at them and seeing them in their building. Yeah, and all these things happened before I found out about financial podcasts. So I feel like if I had found them earlier in the year, I wouldn't have made a lot of mistakes I made with buying and selling stocks, because it wasn't like I had the money to buy. I was taking out of my savings, which is very not advisable when you're starting off with buying stocks. But I'm just glad it worked out for me. It may not have worked out for somebody else because we all have different needs, but it worked out for me, and I'm very happy for that fact. So these are the things that I am doing to make my 2026 better. I am making a planner. I'm listening to more podcasts. I'm investing better. I am also saving apart from investing. I did open a savings account, people. So, yes, I'm investing and then I'm saving, two very different things. You can make them, I don't think you should make them as one, but I feel like there are people in the world that make their investments their savings. I need to go find out how they do that. So, yes. So, this is the end of another episode. I hope you enjoyed this one because I really did. I really did enjoy talking about my fiscal year 25 and how it's going to affect my 2026. Is 2026 here yet? No. Am I planning for it? Yes. Do I expect it to be perfect? No, which is why I'm practicing giving myself grace to do the best I can and be content and be satisfied with it. So thank you for joining me today on the Tiny Turtle. I can't wait to see you next week. Leave a comment. If you want the planner that I am making, you could always send me a mail and I could send you the draft that I have currently. And we can always communicate if you want to talk more about it or more about how to plan your 2026. I will see you then. Bye.